Welcome to Conflict Network number 2. I'm going to do one more black superhero from Marvel slash anti-hero combination. Alright, so if you're a fan of the original Prowler, then you know the original Prowler wasn't a criminal by choice. And if you read the comic plus the cartoon, it was Spider-Man in the early 90s or the middle 90s, you'll understand that the Prowler, Hobie Brown, was not actually a criminal. It's more like an anti-hero, like one of the first anti-heroes, as a matter of fact, before Deadpool came into action. Hobie Brown was one of the first technically anti-heroes. However, he's being black and being forced to wear the suit because he was told that if he tried to take the suit off, it would explode and it would kill him. And so he kind of got stuck between a rock and a hard place with the Kingpin, making him the original Prowler. Then, since now that has been retconned, and now Miles Morales' uncle is the current Prowler. So that kind of wings things around a bit. Right now, secondly, the fact that Miles Morales is not all the way black is something that I need to address, being that this is Black History Month. Now, Morales is not a black last name, so somewhere in the comics or the cartoon, we have all seemed to neglect the fact that Miles is actually a biracial person who is half black and half Hispanic, just like Miguel O'Hara, who is half Hispanic and half Irish. Alright? So that being said, because it's Black History Month and Into the Spider-Verse did very, very well, and a lot of you are probably more familiar with Into the Spider-Verse and more about Miles Morales and his storyline versus Peter Parker and Hobie Brown. So for those who don't know that Hobie Brown was the original Prowler, you have to go Google it and do your research, because then you'll find out that Hobie Brown was actually the original Prowler versus Miles Morales' uncle, whose name I can't remember at this time because I'm not a big Miles Morales fan. Now, there is a Ben Reilly who's actually black also, and I think he's on Earth 2010 something or another. I have to Google it to re-educate myself on it, but he is not a clone of Spider-Man, but he does become the Scarlet Spider at some point, I think. I don't know, because I read about this like 5 months ago, so I'm not really going to hold a candle back to that. But there also is a black Spider-Man that is actually black from England. I do not remember his name either. So we're going to stick with the Prowler. Now, as you know, the original Prowler, Hobie Brown, was a man who basically was a victim of circumstance and kind of got caught up in some crap with the Kingpin, which made him become the Prowler. Now, the Prowler was tasked with stealing a few things that the Kingpin kind of admired and wanted back. So Hobie Brown really didn't have a choice in the option because the Kingpin had a lot over his head. I think it was his family as well as the bomb strapped to his suit. So, it's kind of one of those, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You can't go to the police, because who's going to believe that Wilson Fisk, the philanthropist, is actually the Kingpin? And for some odd-ass reason in all superhero comics, it's always the same. No one believes that the billionaire with a lot of fucking money is the bad guy. But somehow or another, no one can tell in DC Comics that Clark Kent and Superman are the same damn guy. However, this isn't about DC Comics. This is about Hobie Brown being the Prowler. Now, the other Prowler, Miles Morales' uncle, I cannot remember his name. Again, not a big fan. But he was the brother of a cop. Now, depending on which Miles Morales you want to go with, comic book or the 2 cartoon versions, well, technically the 3 cartoon versions, because Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, or whatever the hell it was, not Unlimited. Unlimited had nothing to do with that. The black guy in that was the Vulture. But for the last Disney cartoon, before the new Spider-Man came out, where Miles and Peter are in the same universe and there was no other universe, the cartoon before that, when Peter was actually an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Teenage Power Man, Iron Fist, and Tigra, so somehow or another that happened. That Miles Morales was from a different universe, and he sacrificed himself to stay in Spider-Man's universe to keep his mom and them safe. But somehow they set up a communications. I don't remember how, but somehow before that cartoon ended, I think Miles made it back home, or he brought his mom to their world and reestablished something or another. But that Miles Morales was also half black. Since this is Black History Month, I thought I'd throw that in there. Now, in the current Spider-Man cartoon that's on Disney XD, if it ever comes back on, Miles Morales and Spider-Man are in the same actual universe. They've always been in the same universe. They're students. Miles got bit by a spider the same day, basically. The Spider-Man get bit by a spider, etc., etc. Also, Silk got bit by the spider. Gwen still exists. Mary Jane, I don't know if she's made an appearance in the cartoon because I can't remember. But that being said, Miles Morales in there is also black. Now, if you go into the Into the Spider-Verse universe, his dad is black and his mom looks Hispanic, and Morales is still not a black last name. So maybe his dad was Hispanic and just looks black. His mom might have been black and just looks Hispanic. You know, artists fuck shit up all the time. You know, because if you look at my pictures, you can see that I am an admirer of Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane when it comes to drawing feet. I cannot draw feet on a superhero just like I can't draw boobs on a superhero very well. So when you look at my characters, this is for my book that I'm doing, by the way. If you look at my characters' feet and you go compare them to one of those Rob Liefeld or Todd McFarlane's versions of Spider-Man or Cable, you'll see that I draw feet the same way because that's the only way I learned how to draw feet. Thank you, Rob Liefeld. Thank you, Todd McFarlane. That being said, we're going to end this video with this. There are quite a few black superheroes that don't really get their full billing. So, to those superheroes, we hear you. Now, bonus for this video and this video alone, one of the first Marvel superheroes that was black, who's full black, well, mostly full black, but has a vampire for a parent, would be Blade. Now, Blade had 2 TV series, basically, because the one with Sticky Fingers was the last one, and then the big movies, but he also had a cartoon that was supposed to become a series that never got off the ground. Unlike the Black Panther animated series that got off the ground before Chadwick Boseman filled in the role as the Black Panther. But that's not here or there because the Black Panther, God rest Chadwick Boseman's soul. I haven't seen the trailer for the new movie. We don't know how they're going to do this. Anyway, that being said, Blade was one of the first superheroes of Marvel to get his own movie. And we thank Wesley Snipes for bringing Blade to the forefront. Because a lot of people don't really know too much about Blade until the Wesley Snipes movie came out. A lot of people didn't know about Blade. So as your bonus video, we're going to talk about Blade and the Night Stalkers. So before you ask, let me tell you who the Night Stalkers are. The Night Stalker is Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider, Blade himself, and Morbius. And every now and again you get a special appearance by, you guessed it, Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. Now there are a lot of things that goes on in these Night Stalker comics, and Blade and Johnny, there are some motorcycle duos, and again a salt and pepper team, just like Iron Fist and Power Man. So this cartoon came out, this comic came out in the late 70s, 80s, something like that. So that's why when you first are introduced to Ghost Rider, unless your first introduction to Ghost Riders is the Ruiz brothers, well, before the Ruiz brothers, there was Dan Koresh, I'm probably not saying it right, who may be Johnny Blaze's half-brother. I'm not going to swear to that. And then before that, there was Johnny Blaze. Now, before Johnny Blaze, there were other Ghost Riders, but Johnny Blaze was the original Ghost Rider that was written about, where he gets to meet other Ghost Riders through his thing in his journey. So you'll get to understand that if you go into Ghost Rider, if you go back into the history of Ghost Rider, the best place to go is like the variant or whatever YouTube channel has Roya the Destroyer in it. I know I watch it and nothing's hitting on fire on all cylinders. Today has been a really rough day. Anyway, that being said, Blade was one of the first black Marvel superheroes to grace the screen before Marvel really got picked up by Disney and got the conglomerate that it is now. Now, on a side note, DC also has a stream of black heroes, but they haven't also made it onto the big screen. However, Cyborg and Black Bolt were the first 2 DC characters to make it onto the small screen as of black, because Hanna-Barbera had got a complaint that there weren't enough minority superheroes, so they added El Dorado, they added Black Bolt, they added Silver Samurai or Super Samurai or whatever the heck his name is, and they added who the hell was the other guy? Apache Chief. So that's how that came to be. That being said, I hope you guys enjoy your Black History Month. Do some research. Correct me if I'm wrong. Subscribe and share. I usually don't tell y'all that, but somebody told me I should probably start telling y'all that just to make sure that you guys would do it. Or in any case, don't subscribe and just share. But at least leave me a comment. You know, you can leave me a big fat F you if you don't like me, but that's okay. I'm still going to accept it, and I'm not going to clap back because I don't have time, and I also don't know how. So that being said, thanks for watching. It's Comfort Habit number 2. Be seeing you.